Hello, my name is Marcus. This is the first in a few tutorials that are hopefully going to be explaining how to use 3D Studio Max and low polygon modeling. I'm using 3D Studio Max 6. I just want to explain the UI interface. You know, how to create a basic primitive, how to manipulate it, a few of the tools used for modeling, and just talk about the modifiers. And none of that will make sense, but it will at the end, hopefully. Now, along the right hand side of our screen is our toolbar. It's pretty big for a toolbar, but I'm going to call it the toolbar. Along the top is our control panel, along here. Along the bottom is our animation aspect of the program, and here's our time slider. We'll talk more about that towards the end of the tutorials. Like it on any a VCR, we've got our controls for the animations. In the bottom corner, we have our movement tools for moving around our viewport. Okay, and I'll talk about them in a minute. Firstly, you'll notice that there's this yellow bar around our viewport, and that basically means this viewport is active, okay, and the rest are a bit frozen. So if I use my middle mouse button just to click, then this becomes active, and so on, okay. So with that explained quickly, we'll move on to our movement tools. The most important one that you'll probably use the most is this little rotate tool, which is just like a yellow circle. I'm just going to select that. Okay. And with this, we can rotate around our viewport. Okay. If we click on the outside, we can barrel roll. If we hold down the middle mouse button, we can also pan around two axes in our view. And if we roll the ball up and down, we can actually zoom in and out. It's not very precise, but it's a bit quicker than actually having to come down and select tools. So you'll most probably just always use this and ignore the rest. The looking glass is just our zoom, but we can make it a bit more precise. Our bottom below that is our field of view, which is like zoom but a little different. If we it can actually skew your view. The hand is just the drag, so we can pan around. These object buttons next to together here are basically our center on view. So if we say, for instance, we lost our object in the viewport, if we just hit this button, it will zoom. It will automatically frame up against the object we've selected. And if we've got multiple objects selected, then that will zoom in on all of them. The button below them is like these two little boxes. If we hit that, you'll notice that the viewport that was activated will fill the whole screen. If we hit it again, we switch back to our four views. So if we select our front view and that becomes active, and we hit this button, and then the front view fills our screen, and we hit it again, we go back to our four views. A handy shortcut is Alt and W. So if we select front view and hold down Alt and press W, it fills the screen, so on. Okay, so we just that's just how you quickly do it. Right. Let's create a box. Okay. In our control bar, you've got these various tabs. We've got create, modify, and all these other tabs that will come in use later on. Underneath our create tab, we can create various elements. We've got our primitives, our splines, lighting, cameras. These are all the controls. We can create bones, but at the moment we're just going to create a box. So if we just drag out, let go of the mouse button, and then finish up in the last axis. When you first make your box, it should look exactly like this, just a different colour. We can change the colour by hitting this little colour swatch thing here, and we can just change to I'll just change to black so we can see the wireframe better. Now, if we press F3, we switch to a wireframe mode, okay? So it's not shaded, it's just a wireframe mode. If we hit F3 again, then it becomes shaded. Sometimes you won't actually be able to see your wireframe while it's shaded. And if you hit F4, you can hide and show your wireframe. So if you create your box, it might just look like that, okay? So if you hit F4, then you can see your wireframe. So F3 shows wireframe on and off, and F4 actually shows the wireframe against the flat shade. Okay, nice and simple. You'll notice that in our control bar up here, we've got movement, rotate, and our scale. If I hit movement and we select one of these axis arrows, we can move it in that particular axis, okay? We can also hit this little box in between the two axis points, and we can move our object in between those two axes, okay? Well, I don't usually use that because it's not too precise. Rotate, okay, it's the same. We just hit one of these bars and we can rotate around various axes. What's handy to have is this snap to angle, which is these are your snap tools, and I only really use snap to angle. And you'll notice that it snaps every 5 degrees, so you can rotate to a 90 or 180 or whatever, a bit more precisely. Okay, if the tab next to our Create tab is our Modify tab. And here's our basic parameters for this object. We've got length, and we can change that, and width, and change that, and height, so on. When you start creating a character or something, you usually start with a few more slices, so you have something to work with. So we can just up our slices and our width and our height segments, yeah. So we have a little bit more to work with. Okay. Now at the moment we can't actually manipulate this because we just can't. To be able to start playing around with the elements like the vertices and the faces, if we right click on our object and go down to Convert To, and we hit Convert to Editable Poly, you'll notice that our basic object parameters are replaced with a more complicated parameter box. Okay. Now here you'll see the elements that actually make up our basic primitive. We've got vortex, edges, border, polygon, and element. Okay, and the actual object is an element. Okay, so if we just select that, we automatically select the whole object. If we hit polygons, we can select the actual polygons, the faces that build up our object. I'm going to miss that border and go to edge, and we can actually select the edges and drag them out and so on. Okay. We hit vortex, we can drag these vertices out like so, and that's how you start making your model and refining it. And the shortcut keys for these is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, simple like that. Oh yeah, the shortcut keys for the move, rotate, and scale are W, E, and R. Okay, W, E, R, which are quite close to 1, 2, and 3, so you can quite quickly be moving and manipulating your object. Yeah. Okay. Now you'll notice that each one of these elements has its own control box. So at the moment we're in vertex mode, and you'll notice that we've got edit vertices, and we've got the various tools we can use for editing vertices. Like if we select this vertices and hit extrude, we can actually extrude that vertices out, and it will make more polygons to suit that vertices. So you can see that we've extruded that out, and it's made more faces and so on. Okay. If we go to edges, if we just select that edge, okay. Okay, there it is. We have that edge selected. It should turn red when it's selected. You'll notice that Edit Edges also has a box, toolbox. These tools will change for each element you're in, and we can extrude, so we can create like a sharp edge. We've got chamfer, which is, if I just move into a better view, just go into a full screen, you can see that we're actually rounding that edge off a bit. Okay, smoothing the smoothing this edge off so it's less harsh. Okay. If we hit 4, we're in a polygon mode. We just select the face. We can hit extrude, and we just select our face, and we can drag that out. If we hit bevel, we can drag that face off, and then when we let go of the mouse button, we can then pull that face in. Okay. Another thing I'd like to quickly show you is if we hold down the control button, we can select multiple faces. I'm just going to hit the bevel, and you'll notice that it bevels everything as if it's one object, which is good if you want that kind of thing. But if we hit this little box next to bevel, we'll get the actual bevel polygons control window, and we can adjust the extrude, and we can actually adjust how much it's pulled in or tapered out. But what happens if we wanted these to actually bevel as individual objects? If we click on the by polygon, you'll notice that it will treat the bevel for each individual object, each individual face. Okay, that should make clear sense. And by polygon, you'll notice that it's slightly being pulled inwards at these corners. Okay. And that's the only real difference there. Extrude again has a similar kind of option. Let's show you the border, which I've left out. Now, if I'm going to select polygons, I'm just going to delete them. Okay. And the reason why we can't see these polygons is because it draws them one-sided. When you bring in a 3D model into a computer game, it will always draw a polygon model two-sided. Okay, so we will be able to see this when it's in the game. So I'm going to hit the border tool. And if we just select the edge of this hole, okay, you'll notice that it actually selects the whole edge of this tool, of this hole. And if we go down, we can see Edit Borders. And if we hit Cap, you'll notice that it's actually created one big polygon. Okay. So, what else can I say? The stack. I'll talk about the stack. Okay. I'll just drag this out a bit. This is what's known as our stack, and at the moment we've just got our polygon object. Okay. Instead of pressing the number keys or selecting these elements here, we can actually select what's building up our poly object here. Okay, but I mean, I don't know anybody that particularly uses this for that. Okay. We've got a modifier list. Now, if we bring this down, you'll see all these different modifiers that you can apply to your model. I like to think of these modifiers as Photoshop filters. Okay. It's probably a bad description of them, really, but it's the best one I can think of. and like Photoshop's got like blur and lens flare and all that stuff. We can apply various different filters to this object to manipulate it or change it. If I just explain a few important ones, we've got optimize, which will it will best remove vertices to lower the polygon count. Sometimes it can actually ruin your model, and I try and optimize as much as I can by hand. We've got our UV modifiers, which is for actually making your texture map for your finished model. Symmetry, so we can just work on half the model and it will match what we're doing on the other side. Let's just add one, just to mess about. I'm just going to add. Let's add noise. Okay, and if we extend that, you'll notice that we've got noise has its own various options, and I don't even know it's going to do anything. I never use these, you see, and I don't know if anyone else really does. If there's this button means while you're working on your model, if we switch that on, it means that we can actually still see the effect as we work on the model. If we switch that off, then it will actually switch off this filter, and the model will go back to its previous state, and then we can switch it back on and see. If we select our particular modifier and we don't like it, we can hit this little waste bin and it will delete it. Okay, and our model will revert back to its original state. But I really want to show you something. That was a bit rubbish, really, wasn't it? This is not. So you can see it's oh, come on, Marcus, this is crap. I'm gonna find one that's gonna do something crazy. Twist. That's gotta do something. There we go. And you can see that it's kind of, yeah, it's kind of, and you can change which axis it twists around. Crazy. Like I said, some you need to play around with. Most you'll never use, to be absolutely truthful. So let's just bin that and just play around, really. And the extrude and the bevel and everything I've showed you there is enough to get you going, making a few models. The next tutorial I'm going to be making an actual character, a very, very basic character, and we'll be using a lot more different modelling tools which I've not showed you yet. So I hope to see you there. I'll catch you later.